the Giant 40. Fredrickson all by himself. Cuts back beautifully.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone out there that's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below, or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, he's out of here. Gone. 10-23 after 2 seasons will get you one-way ticket out of the NFL. Interesting to see, though. I wonder if Mr. Belichick will pick up Judge back up. Interesting to see where I mean, you know, he's maybe not a good head coach, but he's a good coach, you know, coordinator, whatever. So interesting to see where he winds up landing on his feet, and it'll be interesting to see if Mr. Belichick gives him a call, brings him back on his roster. It'll be interesting to see. But so now the Giants are looking for their 5th coach in the last 8 years. So you got from 2015 to 2022. You had Coughlin, McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, and the mystery guest, who's number 5 going to be. The worst amount of coaches changed hands in Giants history was way back in the day. When they first started in 1925. Basically, it was almost like every freaking year they were changing coaches. Bob Folwell was their coach in 1925. Doc Alexander was the Giants coach in 1926. 1927, you had Earl Pottinger. He was there for 2 years. He was there in 1927 when the Giants won their first championship. So, I think Leroy Andrews was there from 1929 to 1930. He coached, in 1930, they played 17 games in 1930. He coached the first 15, and Benny Friedman coached the last 2. So in 1930, the Giants had 2 coaches, and in 1931, Steve Owen took over, and he took off. He talked off to the races. Steve Owens coached from 1931 to 1953, so he was off to the races. But I mean, basically, you had like 7 different coaches, you know, for the Giants. You know, 1 in 25, 1 in 26. You know, 27, 28, you had 1. 29 and 30, you had 2. And so they had 6 coaches in like 7 years, first 7 years or so. So that was quite a bit. Other than that, from 1969 to 1979, the Giants had 5 coaches. So that was, you know, except for that in the beginning when the Giants first took over, from 69 to 79, the Giants had 5 coaches. Allie Sherman coached the first 5 preseason games for the Giants in 1969. They lost every one. Wellington Mara had enough of them. Plus, we got embarrassed in the preseason by the Jets. And Wellington Mara had just had it up to here with Allie Sherman. So he got rid of him. So Allie Sherman coached the preseason in 69. Then the regular season, Alex Webster took over, and Alex Webster coached from 69 to 73. 74, 75, and half of 76, Bill Arnsberger. The other half of 76, 77, 78 was John McVay, and then we had Ray Perkins, who coached 79, 80, 81, and 82. So, you know, that stretch there, you had 5 different coaches. But but now we're on our 5th coach in 8 years. Basically, kind of like what Mr. Mara said last year. You know, he said he wasn't putting any type of a win total or anything like that on this season. He just wanted to see improvement. It wasn't like, well, we won 6 games last year. We have to win at least 8. If we don't win 8, it's all, you know what I mean? And he had to feel that the team, the organization was going in the right direction. And there's no way, absolutely no way. I mean, Joe Judge says, yeah, but nah. Absolutely not. I mean, Joe Judge is the only one who's saying, yeah, we're going in the right direction. Everybody else is saying no. So Mr. Mara pulled the plug on the Judge project, and so now we're off and running. And, you know, I just thought, you know, the ball just started rolling because they forced Gettleman to retire. It's like it's either like, Dave, look, either you retire or we're going to fire you. What do you want to do? So he retired. Then Rob Sale, he took off. He's one and done, or doesn't matter anyway because he probably wouldn't have a job anyway because we're getting a new GM and coach and all that and everything. So, but Rob Sale, he went back to he's becoming the offensive coordinator of Florida. Back Billy Napier, he was they went back. The two, Sale and Napier, were together at the Louisiana Lafayette. So Napier's taken over as the coach of Florida, and so he called, I guess, Rob Sale, and I guess Rob Sale, he's going to be the offensive coordinator. So I guess I don't know. I mean, he's sort of, the Giants were a sinking ship, and he just wanted to get the heck out. I don't know. So we'll have to see if he winds up back in the pros ever again, Mr. Sale. But he left. But I mean, with Judge gone, we're going to get a whole new coaching staff in here anyway. So now, a couple of problems. This is going to be the Giants' 5th offensive line coach, basically, pretty much since whoever comes in. All right, since 2019, and then Shermer was gone, right? Then 2020 we had Colombo, then we had DeGooge came in, then we had Rob Sale come in, and then we're gonna have another guy come in. So I mean, a lot of offensive coordinator, offensive line coaches. This is gonna be Daniel Jones's 4th offensive system he'll be learning in 5 years because he had the one with Dirk, then he was with Pat Shermer for a year. Then he had the Clapper system for 2 years, right? So now this year, in 5th year, will be his 4th offensive system he'll have to wind up learning. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of a mess. Daniel Jones is going to be kind of maybe possibly the obstacle for the new GM because it's like there's the tripod. Right, you get the GM, you get a coach, and you get the quarterback. So you got a tripod there, right? So when the GM comes in, obviously, usually they want to come in and just, right? This is my team. If I'm going down with my guys. So I'm going down with my coach, I'm going down with my quarterback, and we're going to go down. So GM's coming in, it's going to get a new coach, but we got Daniel Jones. So I don't know if that's going to, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Daniel Jones this is his 4th year, so I mean, coming up. So it's like if the GM isn't approved, I mean, you just don't give him a 5th-year option, or you just don't sign a long-term contract or nothing. You go out and get your own. But I mean, I guess probably one of the stipulations is going to wind up being is like be taken. You want the GM job, you get your coach or the coaching staff and all that, but Daniel Jones is the quarterback. I mean, so unless you can go out and draft somebody or whatever, but I mean, Daniel Jones is here for at least this year, so that might be some type of a stipulation. So now got it wouldn't have made any sense to bring Joe. I mean, if the new GM comes in, he said, "Look, I want you to keep Joe Judge for at least 1 more year." I mean, it's like he hasn't shown you anything. He would have to bring in pretty much because almost not a whole new coaching staff, but he'd have to bring in a lot of new coaches. So you got a GM in, you get Joe Judge, you got a bunch of new coaches coming in, and if they stink once again, which they might just then he'd have to get rid of all of them, and he'd have to bring in another bunch of guys anyway. So it's just like, it's just best just to, just kind of, clear house, get a new GM in here, let him pick his own coach, and just wind up seeing, what winds up happening with Daniel Jones. But so I mean, it's a bunch of coaches out there. I seen a bunch of things where about candidates that the Giants could draft and coaches that they could sign and all and everything. There was quite a few of them there. There's pretty much a boatload of them. One I saw obviously was Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for Cowboys. Now they led the NFL their offense. I mean, with points scored, 530. They led the NFL in yards. The 530 points they scored. Now, it was also with an extra game in there, too, but it was 51 points more than any other Cowboy team has ever scored in history. So the Cowboys have had some good offensive clubs in the past. You know, as I said, they had the extra game. But, I mean, to score 530 points, I mean, that's phenomenal. They scored basically almost about twice as many points as the Giants did. Now, one thing is with Kellen Moore, you know, he didn't have the offensive line he had a lot of health. Gallup was hurt a little bit. Zeke was hurt a little bit with the knee, but he had a lot of health this year. But, I mean, you look at some of them, like Tony Pollard's not a first-rounder, Dak's not a first-rounder, Schultz isn't a first-rounder, Wilson's not a first-rounder, Gallup's not a first-rounder. So he did it with not necessarily everybody's a first-rounder. You know, ABCD Lamb's a first-rounder, Cooper's a first-rounder, Zeke's a first-rounder, the offensive line, they got some first-rounders, you know. But, you know, it just goes to show you, I mean, you know, what he can do, you know. But, as I said, they were relatively healthy this year. When Dak was hurt last year, you can see they struggled. So, but I mean, Kellen Moore's going to be a hot commodity. Brian Flores, obviously, he's a hot commodity. Now you get the back-to-back winning seasons, and then you just wind up letting them go. I don't know if it had something to do with the 1-7 start that they had, or maybe they just didn't make the playoffs. I don't know. But I mean, he ended the season on fire, and he beat the Patriots 2 times. So he'll be a hot commodity. Another one I saw was Patrick Graham. Ta-da! You know, so I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he gets any type of an interview, because he said, you know, his object, his main goal he would like to be a head coach someday. So maybe the Giants just might give him a shot. Greg Roman, the Ravens offensive coordinator, they got a great running game. Then you got Eric the Enemy Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Right? I mean, you know, he's been out there for a few years now, but nobody's been picking him up. I don't quite know why, but I'll have to wait and see. Then you got a couple guys from the Bills. You got Brian Daboll, their Bills offensive coordinator, and you got Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator. All right, a couple guys that might possibly want to target as head coaches, maybe. I've seen Nathaniel Hackett, the Packers offensive coordinator. Yeah, they've been on fire. I mean, it does help to have Aaron Rodgers, don't get me wrong there. Todd Bowles, the Bucs defensive coordinator. Interesting choice for a coach. Vance Joseph, the Cardinals defensive coordinator. Then you got Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. You got Dan Quinn, Leslie Frazier, Todd Bowles, Vance Joseph, Brian Flores. They were all coaches, all head coaches at one time. Dan Quinn obviously went to the Super Bowl. Leslie Frazier had one good year with the Vikings, but for the most part, he didn't do too well there with the Vikings. Todd Bowles had one good year with the Jets. I think the first year, then the next 3, I think they were all losing seasons. Vance Joseph didn't do too well with the Broncos. Flores obviously did the last 2 good years with the Dolphins. He did good. So I just don't understand. I mean, he's a hot commodity. He'll land someplace. I mean, if he doesn't wind up with a head coaching job right away, I'm sure somewhere along the line, within the next couple of years, he'll want to back on his feet by as a head coach, because I think he did a very good job with the Dolphins. I guess his expectations, were the owners for the Dolphins' expectations was playoffs or bust, I guess. So unfortunately, but the thing is with the GMs, now what you got is the GMs are coming in, and then they're going to, what Mr. Mara was talking about, the GMs come in, and then they'll allow, to pick their own coach. So you got Joe Hortes, he's with the Ravens. That he's one of their executives. Now he's 46 years old, but he's been with the Ravens for 24 years. He's been with the Ravens since he was 22 years old. So he's been with the Ravens for a while. Ravens are a very good team for all those years. He goes back to the late 90s and includes the 2000 Super Bowl when they kicked the Giants' butt. So I mean, if somebody like him were to come in, so you got some of these guys got connections here, right? So you got, if Hortes comes in if for some reason the Giants were to take him, well, then he might take Greg Roman, because Roman's with the Ravens. He's their offensive coordinator. You got Ryan Poles with the Chiefs, right? The Giants, I believe, are going to interview him. If he winds up coming in, he might go out and get Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs. The two are very familiar with each other. So that's quite a possibility there too. You got Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Cardinals. Well, the Giants asked to interview Adrian Wilson and Quentin Harris from the Cardinals for GM. They got those two guys coming. So if one of those guys were to get the job, they might take Vance Joseph because they're familiar and they've had some success. So, I mean, you got some, then you got other guys. You got like Carthon from the player personnel with the Rand Carthon, the player personnel for the 49ers. He's the son of Maurice Carthon, who used to be the fullback for the Giants back in the 80s. You also got Adam Peters from the 49ers. He's their assistant GM. They're going to call him in and ask him for an interview as well. But they don't have it. There's nobody here on this list here as far as 49er assistants, to bring in for a coach. So, I mean, so those guys, if they were one of those guys from the 49ers who were to become GM, they might have to go outside the 49ers organization maybe and bring in a coach. Joe Shane, we're interviewing him, okay? Now, he might wind up, he bring in maybe somebody for, from the Bills, which is quite a possibility. I said, I said Dan Quinn, the Cowboys coordinator, defensive coordinator. I said he took the Falcons to the Super Bowl. Of course, they choked against the Patriots. But I mean, you got Todd Bowles, the Bucs defensive coordinator. Then you got Brian Dabble, the Bills offensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier. Well, they got Joe Shane, right, who is I think the assistant GM for the Bills. So if he's interviewing actually today. I think he's the first one coming in today to interview Joe Shane from the Bills. So if he were to get the job, right, he might bring in Brian Dabble or maybe Leslie Frazier. So some of these guys some of these guys were bringing in. The GMs we're bringing in have some familiarity with some of these head coaches. Some of them don't. I mean, I said somebody like Kellen Moore, the offensive, the coordinator for the Cowboys. I don't know if any of these GMs at all have any kind of connection with him at all. I mean, he's only 33 years old. He's just a baby. So it'd be very, very interesting to see. But I mean, what Mr. Mara was talking about is that, we're going to let the GM come in, and he's going to pretty much have full say over what's going to go on with everything, as far as picking his head coach, all the guy, the GM, assistant GM, everybody underneath him and all and everything. So, I mean, and then there's a couple guys from the Titans as well, too, who are, you got Ryan Cowden and you got Monty Ossenfort. The guys from the Titans. There's two guys from the Titans. So a lot of these guys we're bringing in, obviously, as you can tell, are from teams and organizations that are doing very, very well right now, like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bills, the Titans, the 49ers, the Cardinals. I mean, so the GMs, those are the GMs we're bringing in from organizations that are doing really, really well, unlike the Giants. And, so that's first thing first. You can speculate all you want on who the head coach is going to be, but basically it's going to pretty much narrow itself down to who the GM is. Who the GM is, then that's going to wind up obviously picking out to see who winds up being the coach. So it'd be interesting to see if Mr. Mara steps outside of his bubble, all right, and actually picks a GM from an organization maybe he doesn't have any ties to, but maybe somebody that can lead the Giants back on the road to victory. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo!